6 Senate. I will go ahead and share my screen. Oh, thank God. Okay. So we can start with roll call.
Perfect.
Ariel?
So for roll call, we're going to do the same thing we did last week. I'm just going to call out everyone's name. If you could just say present. Jenna?
Present.
Willa?
Present.
Rachel? Rosemary?
Present.
Udita?
Present.
Christina?
Present.
Izzy?
Present.
Theo?
Present.
Angel?
Present.
Meg? Abby?
Present.
Diego?
Present.
Ifani? Vanessa?
Present.
Carmen?
Present.
Sam?
Present.
Awad? Emma L?
Present.
KJ?
Present.
Grace?
Present.
Cassidy? Zakia? Emma, perfect. Okay. Emma F?
Present.
Annika?
Present.
Olga?
Present.
Pau?
Present.
Melanie?
Present.
Marielle?
Present.
Perfect.
I don't know if you caught in the chat, the Hawad is here. I don't know how there's correlation between low battery and whatever, but we will move on. Thank you for that. Let's move on to the invocation. Can I please have a volunteer to read out the invocation for us?
I can do it.
Go for it.
May we, the student senate, have the wisdom, patience, and guidance to be responsible representatives. May we be fair in judgments, enlightened in our discussions, and ethical interactions.
Can we get a Go Broncos?
Go
Go Broncos.
Okay, moving on. Can I also get a volunteer to read out the land acknowledgement statement?
I can do it. Oh, go ahead, Rosie. Go
Okay.
ahead.
We pause to acknowledge that Santa Clara University sits on the land of the Ohlone and Mukwema Ohlone people who trace their ancestry through the missions Dolores, Santa Clara, and San Jose. We remember their connection to this region and give thanks for the opportunity to live, work, learn, and pray on their traditional homeland. Let us take a moment of silence to pay respect to their elders and to all Ohlone people, the past and present.
Thanks, Rosie. So let's move on to the approval of previous minutes. Here are last week's minutes. If I can just get them real quick. Sorry. Oh, it's in a.
I move to approve the previous minutes.
Motion from Monica, second from, I didn't quite catch that. Who was that?
It was
Second.
Second from Theo. Sorry, I wasn't sure that was. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
I
Opposed? Perfect. We will move back. We'll move on to the approval of the agenda. So the agenda today, we have Professor Leslie Gray, who's also the Faculty Senate President here with us. She's going to be talking a little bit more about what she does at Faculty Senate, kind of what their priorities are, and also kind of give a faculty point of view in terms of kind of what the general vibe in terms of faculty, what they think of pass fail or leniency within those policies, what the pros are, what the cons are. And then Tonley, who's a junior, who authored a petition, the academic leniency and financial, I think I forgot the last one. I forgot the last word, like that, and it has garnered over 1,500 signatures, so he'll be speaking on that. And then we also have a task force presentation led by Tonley and Melanie Sam. And the name might have changed, and then SAC will present the NNL presentations. And at the very end of this, Ciara will kind of talk through what she has in store this Tuesday for the State of the University speech that she will be giving. But yeah, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve them.
Agenda.
Second.
Motion from Meg, second from Theo, all in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? Perfect, the motion has been approved. Let's move on to Professor Leslie Gray. I guess, I don't know, hold up, let me stop sharing my screen.
Professor, you're muted.
Even professors do this. Such a bummer. Let me start over. Thank you so much for inviting me, and it's a real pleasure to come here and speak to you. A lot of important issues. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what we do in the Faculty Senate, and then I will talk a little bit about the pass no pass policy. And this is not, I'm a party of one. I've talked to a bunch of people. Although I do have a feeling that some of the pressure that's being put on by students may move the needle a little bit. So, and that's always a good thing when we see student activism making change. So the Faculty Senate is really different than the Student Senate. We're mostly not elected. Some of us are, but mostly every department will appoint a representative, but we do have 4 at-large senators that are elected. And what is really different in our Senate is that we're not exactly a policy-making body. We have a lot of other sort of committees that make policy, like faculty affairs, academic affairs, the committee on lectures and adjuncts. And that seems to me to be a little bit of a problem, that I feel like during the pandemic, we've been super reactive and not proactive. And one of the things I've admired from working with the student and the staff senates is seeing the committee structures that these 2 other bodies have. So actually at our last meeting yesterday, introduced a sort of a motion to have some sort of change in our Senate structure where we have working groups where we can, you know, really put some effort into some issues that we care about. And it's not that faculty aren't initiating, it's just that the structure is really different. So for example, I think we want to start a working group on racial justice and another working group on budget transparency, because our budget is not transparent at this university. The big issues that we've worked on this year or have a lot to do with the sort of the many crises that are going on. We've been working on budget issues. You know, a lot of our faculty, particularly contingent faculty, are paid really low wages, and a lot of staff are in vulnerable positions. So we've been working really against furloughs and pay cuts. That we have a pay cut and a pay to a retirement, but for our most vulnerable faculty, this actually makes a huge difference. It makes a big difference in their pay, basically, and it's a challenging area to live in, as you all know. The other thing that's been really challenging for our faculty is caregiving, and not just faculty, staff, and some students, not many students, I think, but you know, students are affected by these issues as well. But for faculty, you know, it's really hard when you have young kids at home, and we're really seeing this, a lot of the burden falling on women in particular, particularly women who are sandwiched between, say, elderly parents and young children. It's been really, really tricky. So we have a task force that's sort of looking into how we can help both faculty and staff with caregiving issues. And then like the Student Senate, the racial justice issue has been really at the top of our agenda. We just did a survey with faculty about the audit, and I think the results won't surprise you that most faculty support the reorganization of campus safety. And that, you know, whatever decisions are made, that Black faculty, staff, and students should be at the center of the decision-making process. And if they're working, they should, they should have, particularly faculty and staff should be remunerated for their work on the issue. So a lot of our Black faculty in particular, it's a very burdensome position to be representing a whole community, and often people are asked to do a lot of work. And then, that we should use our Jesuit values. That's another thing that's really resonated with faculty as guiding principles for redefining what safety means, and we should also be able to be safe from CSS and the police. I mean, that's a form of safety as well. And then as I think you'll all agree with, that we should really prioritize a wellness approach for CSS, that we need more social workers, more mental health professionals. 80% of what CSS does is deal with, student alcohol issues, I think. And so, this is a really stressful time, and we are really understaffed in terms of mental health. And I think the biggest thing was that whatever the university does, they should do it quickly, and they should do it with as much transparency as possible. The other big issue that's really looming for us is the situation with non-tenure track faculty. So I'm tenure track. That means that I have a contract when I have tenure. It's very hard to break the contract. We have non-tenure track, who are often called lecturers, that it's kind of almost like a bit of a caste system in the university. And so we're actually trying to create a new type of professor called a teaching professor. So the other question was, would we like to collaborate with the Student Senate? And I would say absolutely. I have loved working with Sierra. I've loved working with Joanna Thompson. It's been really I've learned stuff. I've seen you modeling really good governance structures, and it's been a real delight for me personally. Okay, so pass, no pass. And I'm gonna actually break it into two different sort of, well, before I get into that, I want to acknowledge that I think everybody is very aware of how much stress students are facing right now. Learning online is tough. It's really, really tough. It's actually really tough to teach online as well. So I think, I think we all have to be kind to each other. And I think actually, when I'm talking to faculty, the overwhelming sentiment I'm getting that faculty are being lenient in their classes. Excuse me, I feel like I would have sneezed. There was a very lenient pass no pass policy last spring, and the fact that this change.org petitions going around, I think actually is prompting a little bit more sort of, the university may loosen things up. But there are some structural concerns with pass no pass, and there are some learning concerns that I'm gonna just, and this is faculty perspective a little bit. So some of the administration, I think, are not so keen on pass no pass that count towards degrees. And I think a lot of faculty would feel that way as well in terms of core and major classes. So some graduate schools, if you want to go to graduate schools and you take pass no pass, some graduate schools, hopefully they won't do this during the pandemic, but will translate pass no pass into a C, and that's not good. I cannot not imagine they would do that during the pandemic. These couple of years are really special, and hopefully graduate schools will recognize that. But there are issues with eligibility for financial aid, that students might get denied some federal financial aid if they're not taking 4-grade classes. And that also applies to ROTC and athletic eligibility and accreditation with WASC. So there are some structural administrative things. I think and I get those. I personally, in my own personal view, I think, taking a pass no pass class or 2 during a pandemic, especially if it's not core for your major, I don't think that's a problem. I think there are concerns about learning though, and that classes in majors are often contingent upon learning, like you have to get, they're scaffolded. So there's a concern that if students are taking classes pass no pass, they're not maybe learning what they're going to need to know in other classes. And then the other issue for faculty is that students can fail a pass no pass. Below C is a failing grade. And I think, my feeling is that professors have been pretty lenient about this and would be hesitant to fail a student. But I think you'd really have to work at failing a pass no pass. You'd have to make a real effort to fail a pass no pass class. But I'm not sure about that applies to everybody. But I did want to say about faculty, I feel like I have I have been much more lenient about my teaching policies during the pandemic. And I'm hearing this from a lot of faculty. I'm sure there are exceptions. I'm sure that some faculty are not being lenient or not like I have pretty strict rules about late assignments and things like that. But during a pandemic, students, I let them turn stuff in because it's a tough time for everybody, right? But not everybody's doing that. So I don't know. I am happy to answer your questions though, and see what you think. I mean, I get the argument that it's really stressful, and some people people have really different learning styles, and learning online for some people is not working. For some people, it's like it's an introvert's dream, right? If you're a severe introvert, man, you might be really happy right now. But I think for a lot of us, it's a real struggle to kind of do what we need to do. I personally have put so much work into my classes, and I know a lot of faculty have, to make them better. And I personally hope for all of you that you've seen an improvement in the quality of your classes from last spring to now. So anyway, I'll leave it at that, and feel free to ask me any questions.
Yeah, at this time, the floor is open for any questions. I guess if I could suggest, or if you have any questions, concerns, if there is anything that like resonated with you that Professor Gray mentioned that maybe you would want to talk about, work on, yeah, anything like that. Abby?
Thank you so much for being here. I guess my question, it sounds like a lot of the concerns you're outlining with pass, no pass would apply more for like a universal pass, no pass, where all grades were like that for all students. Do you think most of those issues could be avoided if it was like an opt-in type situation, like what they did in the spring?
Yeah, and I think I think that's absolutely possible, and that those situations could be avoided. And also, if it's not classes that's necessarily like core classes for your major, for example, where you really do need to have that information to move up to the other classes. I'm not sure. I mean, I got a little inkling of what people are discussing, which is, maybe extending the date of pass, no pass and things like that. How many pass, no pass classes are you allowed to take right now?
So from what I'm aware of, the current policy is you're allowed to take 6 pass, no pass classes throughout your entire Santa Clara career, but none of them can be your core classes. And I think, and kind of talking about the point where it's, I think the reason pass, no pass is so rigorous, like a D, if you get a D, it's a fail, but if you got a D in a regular quarter, it's like a 1.0 or whatever. But I think the reason for that rigorous is because it's like, if you don't get a C, you can't go to the next course. And I think that's probably the reason why it's so like, it's harder to get a C, or it's harder to pass like a pass no pass class than like the regular GPA class.
Right, like basic chem, I don't think you would want to do that pass. Although actually I did do chem pass no pass when I was a graduate student. But that's another story. Yeah. I mean, I hope, like, I mean, if students wanted to, and this is my opinion, and I should be really transparent about the fact that I don't have any policymaking role here. It really goes through academic affairs is the committee that does these decisions, and then it goes through the provost office. But I mean, if students wanted to take up one class a quarter or 1 or 2 or something like that, I don't know. We're in a pandemic. It's a tough time. But I think the administration is worried about these other issues of accreditation. That if you're on financial aid, there are really strict rules about how much your financial aid and whether to take pass no pass. So it has to be all towards your degree, right? And many degrees, yeah, you can't do pass no pass. Any other questions? Hey, Sarah.
Hi. One thing that I had a question on behalf of some other students is just like, I know you said students are generally being lenient, but I'm wondering from your perspective as a faculty member, if you recognize like maybe discrepancies between how College of Arts and Sciences is dealing with this leniency rather than LSB or the engineering school?
That's just what I'm hearing through the grapevine. I mean, I'm just talking to faculty that I know, and most of them are in arts and sciences. And I think, you know, we're compassionate people. Maybe we're not quite as hard ass as LSB or engineering. So I think there could be a real cultural difference. Yeah, and I think that makes sense to me. And I would actually even wonder if there's a difference between social sciences, humanities, and natural sciences. I don't know for a fact, but I've heard through the grapevine that I've heard some concerns about LSB. I haven't heard engineering concerns, but I could imagine those could arise.
Last question, Angel.
I know the second part of the petition called for financial reimbursements in terms of the tuition. Has that been like a topic that Faculty Senate has discussed at all?
You know, it's a really tough question because it's like a balance that we're actually really trying to prevent our faculty from being furloughed. And so it's a budgetary issue. So, and we don't have any power. And this budget transparency issue is that we really have very little power in determining the budget. It's really, there's not a good mechanism. There are faculty representatives on the University Budget Council, but it's kind of a rubber stamp council. And I mean, if we could afford it, or if the choice were made, I mean, I think a lot of faculty would love to see students get a little bit of money back. But again, that's not really a decision-making power that we have. And the fight that we're putting in is to prevent our faculty from being laid off. But I do have tremendous compassion. I mean, how expensive college is and your experiences right now are really suboptimal. So I get that.
Actually, I lied. Last question for real now from Tom.
Hi, Tom.
Hey, how's it going? Yeah, I completely get where you're coming at with the, the degree audits and like no passing, those classes are tough. But what's the point if we can't pass like those classes? Like some of us are really struggling in those classes, and I know I'm speaking for a lot of people here. And like I'm sure we're not trying to take a ton of classes right now that don't count towards our degree, because it's hard enough as it is with the pandemic to even take the classes we're taking now. So is there like anything that can be done at all?
You keep pushing. I think the way you've pushed with the petition, I think you should keep pushing. I mean, that's make your voices heard. And I think often vocal students have a lot of power. And I mean, I did get an email earlier about some changes that people are considering. I don't know the extent of it. There were just a bunch of options to choose from, and I think there's going to be a broader discussion. But I think the fact that the petition has gotten so many signatures is sort of making waves. So I would continue with that kind of activism.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Thank you so much for joining us today, Professor Gray. We really appreciate it. Could we please get a round of applause? Except it's just applauding.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Take care.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Oh, thanks, KJ.
We'll move on to our next Senate speaker, Tone Lee. Tone, are you here?
Hey guys, I'm here. Sorry. Yeah. So for those of you guys who don't know me,
Tone, you're a lot quieter than you normally are. Is there or?
Hello, can you hear me now?
Perfect.
Okay, yeah. So basically, I just want to start off by saying thank you guys for having me here. I'm not an ASG or like in any organization really, just violence prevention education. But basically, so kind of over the last 2 quarters, a lot of friends and like students and myself have been like struggling with quarantine and finding it pretty difficult with the situations that we've like moved into, given that Santa Clara has told us to move back every quarter. And we found it like pretty unfair that Santa Clara hasn't really made any they haven't adapted to the circumstances, and they also haven't try to make things more lenient for us in any way. So basically 4 days ago, I just created a petition, and pretty much I have just been publicizing it myself. And there've been over 1,500 student signatures that have signed it, as Justin's already said. And I've gotten the chance to talk with Justin, Yash, Kiara, and Melanie. So I know me and Melanie are about to work on a task force together where we're going to kind of tackle COVID response and like what we want from our school. But kind of on the petition, the main points that we're arguing come on two fronts. It's for financial reimbursements and then also academic leniency. So on a financial reimbursement front, the main thing is for the people that had to pay for COVID housing. If they got COVID or were at risk and had to pay for housing, I know at least for my girlfriend, she was in contact with someone who's positive. So her and this other girl had to get COVID housing and pay what was like equivalent to a month of rent for 2 weeks, just because it was either that or they're forced to like live in the house and make their roommates feel like paranoid. So there's not a lot of choices there. So, and then also on that front to have more quarantine housing available for students or just having it available in general. So if you do get in contact or if you contract it, you have a place that you can go and be safe, and that you know that you're not going to be infecting anyone else there. And then on an academic front, there's kind of three things we want to tackle. So the first one's probably the most important. It's the one that we're just talking about for pass, no pass. And actually, what I was extending it to was to have it be, what I was petitioning to have it to be, was to have it be pass, no pass for all classes, regardless of if it's core or not. I think it's pretty unfair that, like, I think that should be the student's choice. Like, the school shouldn't be making that decision for the student. Like if they want to pass a major class or required class, like so be it. That's like that's their decision to make. So that's the first demand. The second one is for teachers to post all Zoom recordings online on Camino. There are a lot of international students or students in other schools or students where circumstances may arrive so that they'll miss class. And it's unfair if teachers are already teaching online to not record the class. Like it doesn't make sense when it takes a click of a button and then you can post to Camino. And then the last demand is to have teachers. I know there are also some teachers that have done a really good job on this and like accommodating students in different time zones or in special circumstances, but kind of having them be accommodating of all students in all circumstances, especially for like international students, so that they don't feel like they have no choice. But really the biggest thing about this is like this petition is pretty much student led. It was not like I'm not like an active person on this campus whatsoever. I don't really like know that many people, but this petition is just something that a lot of people have agreed on. So whatever we decide to do, like as a group or whoever's going to be working on this, it does have to be, we do have to consult with the people that are signing this petition, right? Because at the end of the day, we're speaking up for them and it shouldn't just be our decision to make. But that's kind of like my speech. So yeah, thanks guys. Any questions?
Yeah, I think if anyone has any questions, feel free to raise your hand. And if you have any suggestions, like in terms of like critiques of the petition or any like feedback that you want to give, like maybe like a focus, like changing the scope, expanding the scope, anything at all. If not, we can, oh, Sam?
Sorry, I just had one quick question. What main form were you relying on to like circulate the petition? Just out of curiosity. Was it through social media or like how was it being advertised?
Like literally I have been the only one that posted on my Instagram story, and then like I have like my dog's Instagram account, and then I kind of just archived all the posts and then posted some stuff there. But like literally this, like the 1,500 was just like me posting about it, and then there's some students that shared on their stories or whatnot, but it isn't like a collaborative effort from a lot of people. Then that's how we got 1,500. It's just like I've just been like bored and posting it online like when I have nothing to do.
Well,
Monica?
You're so humble about your efforts, but they're much appreciated. I just have one question. Like Professor Gray brought up that, you know, the pass, no pass option is not available for all students. So if it is being phrased as like that option, obviously not every student would have that option. So like, just have you thought about that and like how you could address it as like not being
right? I mean, and obviously it is something that if we can't change it, we can't change it, right? Like at the end of the day, we're not the ones calling the shots here. Like we can just petition and like that's all we can really do. But like I said, this is something where the school shouldn't be making the decision for the students. Like, if a student wants to pass, like if a student is a math major and they want to pass their math major requirement, that should be their choice to make. Like, that shouldn't be the school's decision at all. Like, regardless of how it looks on the academic end or whatever, because like it's like the student's mental health here. Like, that should be the most important thing that we're considering. Like, not the money, not the grades, not any of that. Just what the best and the healthiest for students.
Right. But I think it goes farther than just being like the school's decision. Like Professor Gray said, like federal financial aid requires certain academic policies. I know athletes can't do pass, no pass. Like there's a lot of different restrictions that like if this were to be put in place that other students would be further.
Right. And like that's why I was like trying to stress the importance of being transparent about this, because like I promise you, like if you guys are not transparent about this, it will 100% look like it's your fault, like if none of this works. Like, and that's, I feel like just the way politics works, like although this isn't like politics, but like whatever it is, you guys have to be like fully transparent, right? Like I think that's fine. I think people understand that, but you guys do have to like really communicate that to students, like, hey, look, like this is like not our decision at all. Like we actually have like no power over this, but like this is what it is. Like we can obviously try again, but and I mean, here's the other thing too. It's like I also like I know that's what she says, but like I've been lied to by like adults before, you know, like I'd like to see some like evidence of what she's saying before like we just take it as is.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to like make sure that they're being considered, and I agree with you, like transparency. Like if it's something that we couldn't change, that we need to
Right. I think, and then yeah, and transparency will solve everything. Like I think even if we can't get it, as long as we're transparent, we'll be fine.
Yeah. No, Tone, I think you mentioned a couple of things in terms of like in terms of what Professor Leslie Gray was talking about. Like I think there were some things where like I kind of disagreed. Like I felt like it was a problem, but it wasn't that big of a problem because it wasn't a problem in spring quarter. And because it wasn't a problem in spring quarter, therefore like it's not a problem.
Oh yeah.
But,
No, yeah. I mean, that's like yeah. The whole thing is like just a ridiculous argument. Like I'm sure if we filled out like an anonymous survey right now and sent it out, there's probably at least like 400 or 500 more Santa Clara students that like are seeing therapists or having mental health problems that never had them before prior to COVID. Like, yeah, that's like an unfair argument. Like you can't like the data doesn't always tell the story, right? Just because like we're doing better academically doesn't mean we're doing mentally healthy. Like I had like a great GPA in high school, but I like was fucking depressed, or sorry, I was depressed, but like it doesn't there's no correlation between like your academics and like what your mental health is. Like
yeah. And with that, I think that's a good segue to move on to our next agenda item, which is I think the name has changed, but I have it on the minutes or on the agenda as the Academic Flexibility Task Force. Tone and Melanie, I'll let you guys, or I'll let one of you guys, like, I don't know, Melanie, or do you guys want to share your screen? Should I share my screen?
Yeah, Justin, it'd be great if you could share your screen.
Yeah, okay. Okay, there we go. Melanie, can you see it?
yeah, Melody, do you want to just start off and then I can just add anything that we
Yes, definitely. Sorry, things are just loading on my end. Yes, I can see the screen. Thank you for sharing. And thank you, Tone, again, for all of your work on getting the petition started. And here we are with a resolution to hopefully create the COVID response task force. So like Tone mentioned, this task force will likely be broken into two different segments, one focusing on academic leniency and the other focusing on financial reimbursements, specifically geared towards housing, emergency housing for students. And we have some ideas that we wanted to prioritize during winter quarter. So things like pass, no pass for all classes for students, in addition to ensuring that all lectures are recorded and ensuring that students who are in different time zones are able to take their exams at a reasonable hour. And then seeing what we can do about folks who are in emergency housing or have used emergency housing. So those are our priorities during winter quarter, but we're hoping to extend this to the end of the school year to also focus on things brought up in the resolution and to raise any other concerns that students have had. And this was definitely a work in progress. We also have Diego and Theo on this task force, and we are hoping that we can ensure that we're uplifting the voices of our students. They have been struggling a lot during this quarter. Tone, if you want to add anything on, this was definitely not possible without your help.
Yeah, I guess kind of just the emphasis of so I guess specifically for the task force is we always want to be doing surveys and drawing like feedback from the student population. So like I know you guys have like that big email that gets sent out weekly. So like whatever we do, so I feel like the first thing we should do is just like prioritize what the response we want from Santa Clara and just rank them, but like get feedback from students so we know what the student population wants. So it's not like a unilateral decision just by us.
Yeah, and I think at this point, I just want to kind of frame the conversation. So this is a resolution that has been submitted to create a task force. So essentially, we're going to treat this as if it was any other resolution. But like always, we would have to suspend the standing rules and then vote on this resolution. And then if this gets approved, then the COVID response task force will be officially started, and our very first official task force, I guess, in terms of like having an actual resolution. But yeah, are there any questions? Or actually, no, Robbie. I actually wanted to ask Robbie directly if he had any like any questions or any concerns in terms of like the format of this document, because he and Judicial worked so hard on this.
Nope, looks good to me. I checked up with this task force, these folks, it looks fine to me.
Perfect. Hawad, I think you had your hand up for a quick second.
Yes, thank you, Justin. Just a question on process, since we are now passing or considering resolutions in order to form task forces. Does this need to be done retrospectively for already existing task forces?
That's honestly a question for Robbie. Personally, I think the Student Safety Task Force and the Athletic Relations Task Force are completely fine the way they are. If they want a little bit more legitimacy, I think if they want to, they can, but I'm not going to like require it.
You mentioned my name. Would you be cool if I respond to that really quick?
Yes.
Yeah, so I would probably encourage everybody to write a, sorry, you guys, I'm in the car. I would encourage everybody to write a resolution like this. I think it does help give your organization legitimacy, but you should not consider your organizations illegitimate right now, but Judicial would like to see those written.
Abby?
I just have a comment about the resolution. First of all, I'm very excited about this. I've wanted there to be a COVID response task force. I just didn't have the time for it before. But maybe just changing the language to say like the first goals of the task force are going to be the following things so that it doesn't limit, because I think there are like a lot of other aspects to COVID response that might come up depending on who joins the task force and like what their interests are. So yeah,
where specifically?
Just wherever they start outlining exactly what the task force is going to do, just say like beginning with the following items, like including the following items. It might already say that, but just making it so that it's not like limited to those things. But that's a super small change, and I think this is great.
How's that?
Yeah, something like that would be good.
There's definitely a run-on sentence, but I feel like resolutions in general tend to have a lot of run-on sentences. Melanie, does that look good? Can I just press yes?
Go for it.
Say no more. Okay. It doesn't seem like there are that many other questions. If so, I would entertain a motion to suspend the standing rules.
Motion to suspend the standing rules.
Motion from Theo.
Second.
Second from Sam. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? There wasn't, I'm just gonna leave that to a voice vote. I'm not gonna ask anyone to raise their hands for that one. Let's move on to, I would now entertain a motion to vote.
Motion to vote.
Second.
Motion from Theo, second from Christina. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? And Ariel, do you want to do a roll call or do you want to do raise hands? Up to you.
We can do roll call. Jenna,
Yes.
Willa,
Yes.
Rachel, Rosemary,
Aye.
Udita,
Yes.
Christina,
Yay.
Izzy,
Aye.
Theo,
Aye.
Angel,
Aye.
Meg,
Aye.
Abby,
Aye.
Diego,
Aye.
Yafani,
Aye.
Vanessa,
Aye.
Carmen,
Yes.
Sam,
Aye.
Awad,
Aye.
Emma L, KJ,
Yes. Aye.
Grace,
Aye.
Cassidy,
Aye.
Zakia,
Aye.
Emma F,
Aye.
Annika,
Aye.
Olga,
Aye.
Pau,
Aye.
Melanie,
Aye.
Marielle.
Aye.
So the ayes have it. Yeah.
No, because you said you were gonna. I know, I'm gonna hang up a piece, so. Thank you, man. Oh,
Someone forgot. Sorry, Rachel. Perfect. The resolution has passed. The COVID-19 response task force has now officially been created. Congratulations, Tone and Melanie. Let's move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the SAC NOL presentation. I'm just gonna stop sharing my screen. Carmen, floor is yours.
Sounds good. Share my screen. Okay. I go to present. Oh wait, no, let me start here. Okay. And then present. Okay guys, so instead of doing the boring dashboard, we decided to do a little more of an interactive activity. So we're gonna talk about the allocations, what were the most popular requests, and so forth. Okay, Rachel, take it away.
yeah, so for one of the biggest sections of the NOL request, funding request, was for apparel. So that made up about 31% of all the of all the allocations. There we go. Which total came to $4,368.35. So basically what these were usually used for were to encourage member participation. Oh, you can't hear me at all?
We can hear you a little.
Oh, I think it's because I have the microphone on the wrong hand. Sorry, give me a sec. Is that better?
Yeah.
Cool. Sorry about that. But yeah, so basically the apparel requests were typically used to either encourage member participation in meetings and get-togethers and gatherings, although mostly online, to make care packages for members and attendees, for fundraising opportunities, or as raffle prizes. And the different kinds of merch that were requested were hoodies, t-shirts, sweatshirts, masks, and more. And these are obviously really important because they make up a large percentage of the requests that SAC gets just overall. So yeah, that's the apparel section.
Sorry, okay, registration.
Okay, so registration totaled 21% of the allocation for winter quarter, with $3,150.92. And I mean, obviously it's important because it keeps the organizations connected to like in a more national scale. And then some highlights were the HAU conference with Hermanas Unidas, the Illinois Invitational for Mock Trial, and the National Convention for NESB.
Okay, I think we're gonna go back because I skipped one. Okay, supplies.
Carmen, the one you skipped was before Diego's, but I can go anyway. You're good. So the total funds allocated for supplies are as shows. So the supplies was actually the largest funding allocation that we had this quarter. So 33% of all allocations went to supplies. Some of the featured items are up on your screen. And so everything with COVID, clubs have been very much on their toes, coming up with different ways or fun ways to keep up with their club members and getting them more involved. Another thing that we had kind of clashed with a little bit this quarter is shipping, just because we typically don't have a set percentage of what to allocate in terms of shipping items, because everything is virtual and students are kind of all over the place right now. We did have to decide a little bit on how much, again, clubs had would be able to give or would be able to receive, excuse me, for shipping items like these.
Great, let me go back. Jenna.
Okay, yeah. So another section that a lot of our funds were allocated towards was subscriptions. So we allocated $2,074.03. And that was about 15% of all of our allocations. So RSOs used a lot of subscriptions this quarter to grant them access to different softwares online, and it would aid their members to learn more about that club's specialty. So I just shared some of the examples of what some RSOs used. So for example, College Catholics use Exodus 90 as a app for a spiritual resource for their members. And then there was also Squarespace for Math and Computer Science Society, GatherSpace for Barcata to sort of stimulate an in-person environment for their Big Little Reveal night. And then Rocket Reach for TEDx Santa Clara, and Adobe Creative Cloud for Women in Business for their graphics to advertise their events.
Okay, and then lastly, one of the big funding allocations that we had this quarter was for culture shows. So that we got 3 culture show requests from KSA, Barcata, and LSU. So each one is kind of doing something different this quarter now that it's virtual. KSA is doing a whole bunch of different types of performances, including K-pop dances, Taekwondo performances, skits, and a couple other things. Barcata used their funds for also props for their dances and skits, which include sticker, mask, and other dance props. And then for LSU, they requested allocations for video editing equipment and apparel for the culture show. So yeah, this made up about a total of 15% of our total allocations for winter.
Awesome. And now y'all got an overview of where our budget went towards, but what does this all mean? It means that RSOs are still putting on events to engage the student body. The RSOs have gotten really creative with their budget to ensure that they're still creating a place for students to connect with each other over a shared passion. And these events are a lot harder to plan, but they're really important, especially for first years and transfer students during the pandemic, because they help build and create that Santa Clara community. And in my opinion, the RSOs are the heart and soul of the Santa Clara community. And this is who we are without all the palm trees.
Okay, well, that is it. And this is our total number for that was allocated for the winter. Okay, and that's it. Thank you so much, guys. Do we have any questions?
Thank you all.
me to stop sharing my screen?
Yeah. Thank you again, Zach, for all the hard work. That was very inspirational, Melanie. That last part there, Ciara, I also almost cried. But I think moving on, I think we have Ciara next for this. Actually, no, before I move on, I just want to say one more thing. It seems like, so normally, or first of all, I just want to thank Zach because like normally, like again, this takes so much time normally, and the fact that we were able to get that done in like 5 minutes, amazing. Something that senators don't normally know that we normally do, or we used to do a lot. We used to have a lot of clubs who wanted to become an RSO. We would have to approve them weekly. So look forward to week 3 of spring quarter, where 10 provisional student organizations will come to apply to be RSOs. But those are the 2 kind of main changes that we've instituted this year compared to last year or the past couple of years. So thank you, Zach. Thank you, Lori. And yeah, okay, moving on. Let's move on to the State of the University brainstorm. I will just, oh my goodness, you're not supposed to see that. I will hand things off to Ciara.
Hey folks, happy to see y'all here tonight. So if you're not familiar, the State of the University is a speech that the president, in this case Father O'Brien, does every year in February to give like a State of the Union address. And traditionally the ASG president also gives a like 8 to 10 minute speech before Father O'Brien speaks. And so I've been writing my speech and my remarks are due tomorrow. And unlike past years where everyone's really like, yay, like we're doing this and that and exciting and yay. This year is definitely hard because there's a lot of, not so good things regarding the state of the university, as much as there have been silver linings, which I'm covering in my speech. But I wanted to carve out some time just for you all to like give me, I can share with you my speech. I don't really care, but to give me any thoughts about kind of what you think have been like maybe the best parts of the Santa Clara experience, or what you think that like the people watching, which probably won't be students, but more so staff, faculty, and the cabinet, like what you think they should hear. So if there's anything like good, and it doesn't have to be ASG related, like, oh, I am a part of the Santa Clara and we have been a newspaper and I've done blah, 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 or I'm in the MCC and this has been cool. And, or even the presentation SAC just gave, like there was a lot of good points that I may be like, we had this many requests and students are still trying to, have a good experience. So yeah, I will drop the link right now. Pal?
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is going to be mentioned, but SU is carbon neutral now, which is super cool. I don't know if folks are aware, but that's super exciting. And there's like a video that's going to come out after Father O'Brien's speech, but I would really like for that to be highlighted, just because there's been a lot of like attacks from the Center for Sustainability that they like are making promises, and that the university has been saying we're going to be carbon neutral forever, and it's finally reached. So that's super exciting.
Cool. And there hasn't been a formal announcement about that from like Center of Sustainability or anything?
No, today I actually recorded like part of a video that will be put together, and it'll come out as soon as
Cool.
like you and Father Brian speak.
Okay, cool. Then I may bring it up, but I don't know if I will steal Father Brian's thunder. So we'll see. But thank you, Pal. That's really exciting. Anyone else? SCAP related, MCC related, ISAC, athletics, other CSOs.
Want to like share your screen and with like this, what you have with the speech so far?
Yeah, I can do that too. I dropped it in the chat, but there's lots of comments at the moment. But basically, so far, I'm trying to balance not being too, aggressive and assertive, considering our like role as ASG, but also recognizing that there's been challenges. So talking about COVID-19 spread, talking about academic leniency and Tone's petition and all of the signatures. Whoa, that is wrong. And then talking about mental health and caps kind of being broken. And then lots of nice stuff that's happened from SCAP, aka a lot of Abby's help with the Benson workers, $28,000 being raised, to women's and men's basketball. Let me know if like there's any like stats or like cool things. I do not know everything about what's going on, and that's why this is a great group to hear that from. Abby.
Just adding on to like the Benson worker section, I'm also trying to like think about how you can balance the like accountability for the fact that like 100 of our employees are suffering and unemployed and have experienced a lot of loss. But then of course there's also the victory of raising money and having so many community members come together. Another recent good thing is that Santa Clara just became the first school. I have to get like the exact wording so that you don't like it's not mistaken, but it's the first university with the union that our Bon Appetit workers have who are going to pay for their health insurance until they're hired again, which is what we've been advocating for since the summer. And it wasn't like a decision by the union. The union's not doing it for any other schools, but we put so much pressure on the university that Father O'Brien and his cabinet decided that like it was the ethical thing to do. And so they came together with Bon Appetit and together are going to be paying for their health insurance, which is huge.
That's awesome. Okay, yeah, figure out the wording. Text me. Hawad.
I just thought of the prison divestment initiative that I know is at a certain stage, but was introduced and was being considered. I don't know if that meets your criteria for relevance.
Yeah, that's still in its stages. The recent update is that Father O'Brien was talking to John Kerrigan after the board of trustees meeting tomorrow. And so Chris and I think we just really got discouraged after our conversations with Kerrigan last quarter, and a lot of other stuff has come up in the last month. And so I may bring it up, but I just feel like there hasn't been enough traction on it this quarter for me to bring it up. But I will consider that for sure. Thanks, Hawad. Cassidy?
Yeah, another thing that had happened, I think maybe over the summer, maybe in the early stages, was the hiring of the survivor advocate in the wellness center. So that's something that
I did got that, and here, but the victim advocate, you mean?
Yes.
Perfect.
I think it's it's in the wellness center, I guess. I thought that was like about CAPS, but I guess that's two separate. Yeah, so it's gonna be different from the Title IX office or CAPS or anything, so.
Okay, I don't know why I conflated Title IX office and wellness centers, but got it. Thank you for the clarification. Hawad, is your hand still up for another point, or?
No, sorry, excuse me.
You are good. Any other things that come to mind within the community that you've seen, or anything within your roles?
Or Sierra, if I could just say something that I think would be good to have, and I guess if there are any suggestions, or like, are there any projects that like you're working on right now that's like that are like kind of big or like might be hard, but like with more publicity, it will like be like, oh my goodness, I didn't know this was an issue, and then it will get more traction. Like, does anyone have any projects along the lines of that? Because I think this is a good time. This is a good place to showcase those projects too.
Yeah.
I mean, we could always plug Safe Walk because general counsel doesn't want to consider it until we're back on campus. I'm like, well, when that's going to be, huh? I think we could always mention that because it also just so happens to fit very well with this whole Reimagine campus safety business. So I plug that where we can.
Yeah, these are all good points. I think a lot of folks that aren't looped into the student experience for some reason or don't have like a good understanding, that a lot of them tune in for Father O'Brien, so they'll catch me at the beginning, and at that point I would hope that these things are like platforms where maybe people will reach out to me after the speech being like, I really want to use my role in XYZ to like help support Senator so-and-so on this project. So it really could be a platform.
In terms of the stuff that's getting done for VTA, it's definitely like on hold for now, but up and coming, hopefully eventually at some point when we get back on campus, there will be a larger push to make a campus-wide campaign that does go for like accessible sustainability and then just like education in that sense and just tying it in with VTA. but currently on hold.
Well, thanks, Angel. I know it's a struggle. I've been there. Anyone else, y'all, or anything else? Cool. Well, if anyone has any ideas, my speech is due tomorrow at 12. So please reach out if there's any questions, concerns, suggestions, whatever. And yeah, thank you all for the great work you're doing. And let me know, as always, if you need anything on my end.
Ciara, what time's your speech on Tuesday? I think so many people here would love to come.
It's 3. It starts at 3:45. So 3:45 Tuesday.
Amazing.
There's Zoom comment section. Can we like hype you up?
I don't know. I feel like it's all gonna be webinar official. Guys, it's not the same. Like, not that I need a state of the university, but it's just I'm so sad. To be completely honest. So pushing through for sure. But thank you all.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, I almost left the meeting. That would have been bad. Okay. Back to sharing my screen. Let's move on to Standard of the Week now. I don't really know. Oh, I don't remember. Hawad. Yes, Hawad. Hawad.
Thank you, Justin. I'm really glad that you selected me as our Senator of the Week, and I'm really grateful. I'm just kidding. This week is truly a special member of our organization and has brought so much to the table. I'm really glad that they are a senator, and particularly for representing their constituency. For basically the entire school year so far, this senator has been planning a virtual event that would bring together the top rungs of leadership on campus with a key constituency that she represents, as well as being involved in the community and within LEAD and improving so many different issues on campus. So congratulations to our Week 6 Senator of the Week, Zakiya Cooper. And look at all these beautiful photos. Round of applause in your
The
Zoom.
graduation pic. I'm so tired. This made me want to cry. I appreciate it.
Yeah, sorry, Emma, I did have to put myself in there.
Yeah. I don't know, Zakiya, do you want to say a couple of words? Sam, I know you messaged me earlier today on Slack. Maybe you want to say something.
Yeah, I just wanted to give Zakiya a huge shout out. So today was like the first gen panel and it was like a great turnout. There was like over 80 participants. And all of the panelists had amazing stories. And I think it's really important for admin and professors to be able to hear the challenges that marginal student groups face on campus. So once again, just wanted to thank Zakiya for looking out for LEAD kids.
Thank you, Sam. Thank y'all again. And it also couldn't have happened without Sam there. She jumped in to help me with tech, and it was a blessing. And the panel did go really well. So thank y'all so much for this.
Yay. Okay. Let's move on to roundtable remarks. I love the heart. Oh, there's 2 hearts now. But does anyone have anything they want to say for roundtable remarks?
I don't.
Angel.
Sorry, I'm trying to erase the thing.
I can probably clear it.
One last time, I know it say it every week, but Diversity Forum this coming Wednesday, 5:30. Be there or be square. It'll be fun. It'll be cool. And come to the campus safety room if you want to be with me, because who doesn't?
Abby.
Small thing, it's also a short deadline, but tomorrow Advocacy for Workers on Campus is doing one of our labor rights teach-ins. If you go onto the AWC Instagram, there's information for it. And then also we're doing a fundraiser for one of our workers who is making chocolate covered strawberries and like selling them as a little Valentine's Day thing. And so we're promoting that. And I think you were supposed to submit by like 6 p.m. if you want to pick them up on the 13th to give them out on the 14th. But I told Eleanor that we would make an announcement during Senate. So if you want to do it like sometime tonight, you could still get strawberries. And then also sad news, one of the Benson workers passed away recently. And so I don't know if there's something ASG can do to like support their community and like kind of uplift that story, but more to come on that because that's pretty recent news.
Ciara?
Okay, well, in terms of that Benson story, Abby, I'm wondering if there's anything we can also do to help fundraise fundraise or like tap into any of the ASG's funds or something, because I know that's a constant conversation, so we can look into that. And then on my end, I know I brought this up last week, but I'm dropping this in the chat because this is so important. Anne and I are meeting with Jill Rivaris tomorrow, and this form is a CAPS feedback form. If you've been to CAPS and you had a great experience, you had a bad experience, put it in. If you've never gone to CAPS and there's a reason why you've never gone to CAPS, put it in. The more feedback that you can like give to your constituents, the better it'll be, because we need stories, because we keep hearing the same things about CAPS, but nothing's happening. And so we need to know like the good and the bad to actually make change. So this is part of my capstone, but it's also something that I'm really passionate about with ASG. So Anne and I will provide some updates on CAPS because Dr. Jill wanted to meet with us, who's the director. And then also just want to quickly plug ASG Buddies. Kevin sent out an email. I recognize that it is week 6, and I know you all are very busy people, but ideally it was that you would meet with your ASG buddy once a quarter at least. And so please send them an email, be like, hey, can we chat for 30 minutes just to connect, share student concerns, know what their concerns are, and go from there. So yeah, those are some of my updates that I want to make sure. But please, the CAPS feedback form, I know everyone has thoughts, so please fill it out. And you may win a gift card. Thank you.
Theo?
Just to let everyone know, Cassie and I have started talking about trying to start a task force on like LGBT inclusion around campus. So if anyone's interested in joining, just let one of us know.
Yeah. Anything else? If not, I'll just say some concluding remarks. No, this next week, there's going to be a lot of news this next week. Tonight, Father O'Brien is going to send out a VP of DEI update on Tuesday, the state of the university. A lot of news is going to come out on that day, like a lot. So definitely take a look out on that. And hopefully it'll be mostly good news. Oh, just kidding. It's tomorrow. But hopefully it's mostly good news. If there isn't any good news, or sorry, if there's bad news, we'll talk about it. We'll be upset about it. We'll be angry about it on Wednesday at the diversity forum. So please go to that. And then if we're still angry and we're still upset and there's still things, hopefully not, we can talk about it on Thursday. But other than that, great work so far. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn from Cassidy.
Second.
Second from Theo. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Thank you so much. We are adjourned. I'll stick around like always just to chat, chill, talk. You can be friends, you can do homework.